This video is sponsored by Envision app. Transform your designs into beautiful interactive web and mobile mockups. It's fast, easy, and free. Sign up today. Hey, welcome to Beta List. I have Ivan Lim here from fancy Melbourne, Australia, and he's with Vinspi. So, Ivan, tell me a little bit about Vinspi. I mean, so from what we've talked about before, it is sort of like the Warby Parker of suits in Australia, at least. So yeah, go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're basically an online commerce store that allows men to access some tailored clothing online. So the whole idea is that instead of trolling through a mall or shopping center for 2 hours, going to multiple change rooms, trying to find something that fits you or looks nice, men can actually just go to our site, design clothes that they like, and then they can actually enter in their measurements following a series of videos and get something that's custom tailored to their exact measurements delivered to them in 2 weeks. So we're starting with suit shirts, but we're obviously rolling out other product categories as well. But that's an idea to make men shopping a lot more convenient, simple, and affordable. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And I mean, I look at your price ranges. They are very reasonable. I think it went from 400 to maybe like 600 or 700 for a suit, I believe.
Yeah, no, we've actually set a fairly narrow price range because we wanted to test the market. So I was pricing like 410 to about 500. Okay. And really, we kind of put that there because we're still offering a very premium product.
Yeah.
We do a similar sort of price range to what you pay $1,000+ for. But we really wanted to give customers a great experience as well. We don't want to sell really cheap suit line. That really is where we're going. We're all about a tailored experience. So everything that you have in the old school tailored sort of business, bringing that on and adapting that to new marketplace.
Very cool. And then when did you get started with this, and who's involved, and what's your role in it, and what's the background story?
Yeah, absolutely. So my previous role was in a previous startup here in Melbourne, and I was the marketing manager there, and it was an e-commerce startup. We actually built more than 12 different sites covering different product categories, and my role was actually identifying different niches that we could attack. And so one day on my birthday last year, I was just having a coffee with my girlfriend, and we were sitting down, and I was like, oh, I should wear a suit tonight for dinner with my sister. And she was like, yeah, you should. And I went, I'm tailoring a suit last time, and I wonder why more people in Australia don't do it. Yeah. And she was like, well, it's really expensive. It's not easy to do. Yeah. That kind of sparked an interest in me, and I thought there's got to be something here that I need to kind of go back and research on. I went back, researched on it, and realized probably in the whole world, there were 3 or 4 people doing it really well. And I thought, there's got to be an opportunity here. So I took a trip over to Bangkok and Hanoi and went and did it. And then a month later, I decided I was quite strongly with my current my employers about coming on board more full time as a shareholder. And look, I think I'll do something else. So launched straight into it. My whole family's a business family, so they've always been, if you want to start a business, do it when you're young.
Very nice.
Being involved in the entrepreneurial scene previously to this and getting into that, getting into Vinsbee now has been something I've always wanted to do. So
very cool.
We've for about 7-8 months now grown really well. We've got lots of return customers, which is really encouraging, and growing in our sales, which is great. And got accepted into AIM-Q. Happened 4 or 5 months ago. But that was an experience in itself, really applying for it and going to Startup Accelerator, where we actually learned a lot from mentors, talked to a lot of successful entrepreneurs, and just currently at the moment growing and looking to close a funding round.
Very cool. And for anyone who doesn't know, Angel Cube is a very awesome startup accelerator in Melbourne and Sydney, I believe, headed up by Andrew Burt. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been good. Definitely, a lot of good things to say about it. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, very nice. And so you've been out for 8 months. I mean, that's not bad at all. And you said sales, and you mentioned return rates a while ago were being very low, which is always something very nice to see, at least in the retail sort of market. I know at least for Warby Parker, I got some on right now. Great product, quick turnaround, came here in 7 days, things like, of course for a suit, you want it done right, so, you're going to wait maybe, a little extra, but it's definitely a very cool niche that you sort of have there. And then how do the suits get made and tailored, and, who do you outsource that out to, I guess?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think you're in the back with a sewing machine doing it, so.
Yeah, no, it was crazy kind of getting into it. I knew that there was a market. I'd always bought clothes. But I obviously needed to kind of suss out a bit on the supply side. So I literally took about a month or so off, and I flew over to Bangkok and Hanoi in Vietnam. Okay. And I spent time actually going around to multiple tailors, making lots of great suits, but making lots of really bad ones as well. And I tried out a lot of different tailors, and really, we managed to find a master tailor over in Bangkok who's been doing it for over 20 years. He had his own personal client over in Europe, in Berlin and Zurich. But he manages a team of tailors. And so the way that it works is that we actually get the customer's measurements online, send it over to him, and he actually manages the process in terms of checking the measurements. So even before we actually tailor anything, we check the measurements because we tell by the height or the weight of the person, certain measurements go too long or short. We go back and check that. And then we basically have a group of tailors who actually tailor clothing, put fabric all together, and we have a quality control process throughout the stages. And then we direct to the customer from there. The turnaround time, 2 weeks. And so far, the response has been really good. I mean, it all helps when you suit up a customer and they come back to you and say, can you do my wedding well? And we're like, yeah, sure, we'll do your wedding. Not a problem.
Fantastic. I mean, that's always a really great sort of response if they ask you to do their wedding. But that's very cool. So, like, you just sort of outsource it to banking. Like, I mean, it's relatively close to Australia, so I'm assuming, that's a great reason to shove it over there. But yeah, it's tough to find that sort of master tailor, and that it's very that they know automatically just from sort of that years of experience that they can maybe this is measured like a couple inches off because this guy's 6'4" and he should be X length or XYZ. So
absolutely, and it's a really pleasant surprise for our customers. I mean that we take that much care in terms of making sure that we get those measurements right. I've had quite a few customers go, "Wow, you can tell." And I was like, "Yeah, you might want to check that," and they say, "Wow, you're right. Thanks for picking it." So it's just the level of customer service that we really want to provide.
Okay, and then another question I wanted to ask is because I have a couple friends in Australia and even some I go to school with over here. Stuff seems to be a little bit more expensive over there. So, like, how much would a tailored suit cost normally?
Yeah, look, a normal tailored suit in Australia would cost you in excess of 1,000, 1,200. Okay. Possibly close to 2,000 as well, depending on who you decide to work with. So it's definitely not an affordable thing for most people.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very interesting. Because I know they were saying, like, a couple of friends, they said, "Oh man, the sandwiches here are so cheap. It's $5." So, it just kind of depends. But that's very, very cool. And your monetization and all that's pretty straightforward. I mean, what are your plans to expand? I guess, or like how far do you want to take this? And you want to do custom underwear, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, so there's two things. I mean, one is we can continue to evolve our models for monetization. And one is obviously off subscription service. I think that's something that we've got in the plans, and we're hoping to roll out fairly soon. And that's around, men are buying shirts regularly. It makes sense to have a subscription service where they just get a new shirt sent out to them every month or 2 months or so, and in different colors that they want. The subscription service is something that we're pursuing. The second thing is suits and shirts, even though they're a smaller part of the overall menswear market, it's a strategic selling point for us because one is we need them on a fairly regular basis, but the second thing is that when we make a suit for a customer, we actually gather all the measurements we need to make other products. So we can make things like sports jackets, coats, chinos, jeans. There's lots of products that we can actually branch out into. And so that's really, we kind of see Vinsbee as becoming a menswear brand. Beyond just a service provider, we like to build ourselves as a brand. That's who we are. And yeah, we're bringing on board right sort of advisors, PR, and brand experience to really help us grow.
Yeah. I mean, Angel Cube is definitely a great place. Actually, that those guys are very well informed on the branding sort of space. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Very
cool. And then, you have any plans to sort of, I guess, get out of? I mean, I'm assuming you only sort of ship to Australia right now, right?
Yeah. We're focusing on Australia. The reason being that we really want to kind of nail our market here. It's a good place, and we know there's a gap in the market. There's plenty of other countries where there are gaps, and we're already sizing up certain markets as well. Okay. But I think for us, we want to build a strong core base here. The strategy for us is that we don't want to kind of sell to the whole world on one website. In a different time zone, because it gives a really poor customer service experience. People don't return address and stuff like that. So we want to actually be able to expand into individual geographic locations with a dedicated site, a number, a return address, and do a strong brand push in all those countries. So
So
that's a little difference in terms of how we're looking to kind of expand our. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really want to keep up that sort of quality control, and like, I guess even if you want to expand, also you can't be sending suits back and forth to Thailand when they're going, like, if they're going to the States from Thailand, then that's quite a trip. From Australia to Thailand is probably a couple of days, I guess. So
yeah, absolutely, and then we just want to be in the same sort of location with our customers, understand what their needs are, and we can do that cost effective. We can do that quickly. So that's definitely a strategy, a slightly different business model, and I think that's a good competitive advantage for us because we want to build up a strong brand in each of those individual countries as well.
Okay, cool. And then you said you're from like an entrepreneurial type family. There's tons of startups all over. God knows where. So what's your sort of like, I guess, piece of advice back just from your experience, just to sort of say like, this is what you should watch out for, what you shouldn't do, what you should do, that sort of thing. So,
absolutely. I think, I mean, on the quick sort of fast-paced entrepreneurial world, it's really important, I think, to always seek advice when you can. It's definitely really important. I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're really protective of our ideas. We're almost scared other people will take our ideas or people will reject our ideas. But I actually really encourage, and I used to be like that, but I encourage people to really go out, talk to people, get validation for your ideas. Because the reality is that you want people to tell you if your ideas sucked really quick, because then you waste less time. And it's kind of this whole concept about failing fast, understanding and testing all your assumptions, and know really what is your business bringing to your target customer, what problem are you solving, and then developing a product from there, as opposed to trying to build something for 6 months and then chat to someone and they go, that's totally off.
Exactly, and you got to pivot from there, and it just sort of gets a whole big mess.
So if anything, entrepreneurs should be a sponge. They should be extremely tenacious and resilient and fighting, but always be really open to talking to people, sharing your idea, and getting really good feedback. You got to have a thick skin if you want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I know, because I know a lot of people, like, when I was at Disrupt this past year, you walk through, you sort of see, literally a sea of startups just in the battlefield, and like, the promotional area over there, I guess you could say. And you just sort of say sometimes to yourself, somebody should have stopped them a little bit, further ahead along the line. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
But very, very cool. Well, Vinspi sounds like a really great product. I mean, I hope the next you keep going for another 8 months and beyond, and just sort of grow the brand. I mean, it sounds like you're on the right track. You know what you're doing. How many guys you got working with you, by the way? I'm assuming it's not just you. So.
Well, you'd be surprised. It's actually mostly me.
Okay.
I've actually I've had to bootstrap all the things that we've been doing, and that's been an encouraging thing. Like, we're really encouraged that even primarily one person kind of growing the business, we've been able to achieve this much growth. But we're in the process of bringing on a tech co-founder to help us build out that business. And also doing the funding round at the moment, not so much so that we can survive, because the business itself is more or less covering its own costs, growing
exactly,
which is a good position. But we want to bring on smart advisors who help us grow. So a big thing for us in the future is that we want to be able to do a hybrid online-offline strategy, where we have stores and we have physical presences around to help acquire customers as well. So bring the right sorts of people and capacity is be a big part for us moving forwards. We're definitely going to grow.
Yeah, very cool. So I mean, you are just sort of the one-man band right now, but
beyond advisors and so on. A little bit of one-man band, but I like to say I got a lot of good support from a lot of really
definitely. I mean, I mean, at least from like hearing about all different sorts of accelerators stuff out there, you definitely have a great handle on what you're doing and all that. Well, very cool. Thanks a lot, and appreciate it. We'll get this up in a little bit here, but I mean, this is Ivan Lim with Vinspi, and founder, CEO, one-man band, and
and everything in between, coffee maker as well.
And he looks good doing it. So
thanks, mate.
No problem. Well, cheers, and then lovely talking to you, man. Good luck.
Thanks for having us, Jeff.